And yes, we are back here for the final podcast for Survivor 50. I know it's been a minute since I did this, but, life gets in the way. You got a game to host and, you have like no time to potentially focus on anything else. And so we're here now. We're talking about the last 4 episodes of Survivor 50. Now, I will tell you right now, this is not going to be like crazy in depth with the last 4, because if we did, it'd be 4 hours long. So we're not going to do that. But because it is the last one, I do have quite a bit of a, quite the panel here. At the moment, only 2 people, but they're both people that you have seen before throughout this podcast and things like that. So I'm very excited to have both of them back. First off, you love her, you love seeing her. She always gives great insight and things like that. It's the amazing Jazzy.
Hello.
Great to have you. And also with us right now, at least for now, there might be more guests coming in later on, but he was only on once, and the time he was on, he, I think, gave some of the best insight out of anybody on the podcast. I've been very eager to have him on again. So here he is. Welcome back, Benji.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Yes, great to have you both. So before we just jump into everything, because like I said, we're gonna we're gonna do this mainly focused on just specific topics throughout all 4 episodes, kind of how they correlating them together, because I don't want to do this is what happens in episode 10, this is what happens, what happens at this point, so we don't have to get into all of that. Where it's going to be a little bit more of a general discussion. Before we do start things off, how did we feel about this last chunk of the season? I know for both of you, Benji, you came in fairly early on. I think it was episode 5 is when you were, or episode 4. Oh, actually, no, it was the fucking Zach Brown episode is when you were on.
Oh, yeah.
The greatest.
I remember that.
The Zach Brown episode.
Trying to come on a podcast.
I think we had quite a timely rant about that. But,
definitely did. And then Jazzy, you came on pretty early on into the merge phase. So, now that it's been quite a bit, how do we feel about this last chunk of the season?
Honestly, I can start. Honestly, I was kind of very high, riding high until maybe the last 2 episods. I would say would be when I kind of was like, my excitement went from here to, I mean, we'll discuss more later, but yeah, it was a pretty interesting season. There were some really good moves and great players, but yeah, it kind of was a meh. It kind of ended up in the meh tier for me.
for me, this last chunk of the game, there was some hopeful highlights. There were some WTF moments.
Yes.
Overall, I think that the season ended as it should have ended.
Yeah.
However, I think I experienced a lot more lows than highs getting up to the finale, and as we explore that very, very shortly, you'll see why.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat where it's I'm honestly very conflicted when it comes to season, because when it was good, it was really fucking good. It was you couldn't look away. There was always something crazy happening. The gameplay, I think, was fantastic this season. I don't think there's any real complaints about that. I think, unfortunately, there are just some things that kind of interfered with the game, which is kind of the first thing I want to talk about here. So, we discussed beforehand, I think the last podcast I did was with Seven Grace, and it was actually, it's very timely actually, because it was about the Jimmy Fallon episode and that whole twist that went down. And, when that twist happened, I thought it just completely hindered the momentum of what was going on. And so to follow that up with the fucking Mr. Beast and whatever his shenanigans were going to, I just wasn't super excited about it. And so that's kind of the first thing I want to talk to you guys about, is just the abundance of twists throughout these 3 episodes. We have the Mr. Beast thing, and then the episode after that, with the what is it, coin of whatever the fuck it's called,
Destiny, I think it was. I'm not sure.
Whatever that whole thing. And then you have the split where we're gonna put them into 2 groups of 5 for some reason. What did you guys think of all these different twists?
Um, I think it's an interesting plot point for the Beast Coin. Obviously, this
Yeah,
is a way to not only build his brand, but to build on like the important aspect of this game. You get to double the pot. It's all about risk taking. I mean, the person that took it was 100% chef's kiss in making sure that this season was as epic as possible for it being its 50th season.
I also have to agree. I think I enjoyed their like twists. It was very back and forth. Like some of them
yeah,
were great. Some of them were like, please do not bring this back.
yeah.
We do not need Zach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm kind of two minds about it as well. Where like there's some stuff here I think is actually really cool. Like the Mr. Beast twist itself, I think I expected it to be a lot worse than it was. Where like
Yes.
what it actually was, I don't think was that bad, but it could have been really bad. Like
Yeah.
the idea of somebody going out just by flipping a coin incorrectly, that's just like do or die all over again. And I fucking hated it then and I hate this now. The only difference with this that I kind of like is the idea that like you have to like force somebody to do it, or in this case, Rick Devens just straight up volunteers to do it and things like that. The problem for me with a good majority of these twists, specifically the Mr. Beast one, is that that tribal, right? Leading up to that tribal, that is probably the most exciting tribal of the entire season. That whole lead up where it turns into this live tribal where it's like Stephanie begging for her life, and you have her calling out Aubrey for things that Aubrey did, but Aubrey's like, no, I didn't say that, and things like that. You have this back and forth between them. You have, everyone trying to get different people to flip. You have Rick Devens, basically putting his foot in his mouth one too many times, and it seems like maybe he's going to be the vote and things like that. That whole lead up was so good to then go into like a twist and things like that. It just felt like you're hurting the momentum. You don't need these twists here. And I can understand if, people have said this, like if this was a season where it was like mostly newbies or people who didn't really know Survivor, sure, implement as many twists as you want, try to make it a really, crazy time. I understand it's a returning season, but like you don't, half of these twists that you did, it just kind of slowed things down. It didn't really, it felt like you were kind of hurting the momentum rather than heightening it. And I felt like you didn't need most of them. You kind of just needed to let these people play. And I think it would have made for an infinitely more interesting merge phase. Because I'm mostly the belief that I think the pre-merge up until like the start of merge was really great. And I think, the merge phase, we definitely had some great highlights. Like I loved, for example, the tether twists and things like that. I thought that was something that played out really well. But for every tether twist, you have, like I said, the Jimmy Fallon or the Mr. Beast thing, where again, it just feels like these things that are interfering with the game and just kind of slowing down the pace. And so for me, that's really my biggest issue with this season, is that it felt like every time it was getting exciting, here's another twist to overly simplify things.
Yeah. No, I agree with that as well. It did feel like twist after twist, and it did kind of slow down the momentum.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the same I think applies to, I talk about the Mr. Beast thing, and obviously it works out for Devens. We get this really good vote with Stephanie going. But again, like you're interrupting a tribal council that's really exciting. That's really like my big issue here. It's like there was so much excitement going into that, and you're straight up just interrupting it for this thing that nobody really cares about. That could have really hurt the pacing of that episode if Rick Devens does end up going there. Now he's not going to, because there's still 20 minutes in the episode when he's flipping the coin. But again, like point still stands. Like maybe it was just a stupid idea to do it to begin with. I don't know. I think
what? With who went home, I'm kind of at peace with that.
So am I. I also think that the
yes.
coin flip was as like it almost kind of did seem sort of like the do or die. I can see where that argument can be made, but at the same time, it was kind of an epic way to go out.
It was,
especially for Rick Devens, because Rick Devens is just a very flashy player, and it just was very on brand for him. And I enjoyed every second of it. Even if he had gone home, I think it still would have been an epic way to go out, because it was high risk, high reward kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think that it actually added to the tribal council to a certain extent. Not a whole lot, but like once it actually happened and he was saved, like then it really.
Yeah, I guess for me, I would have preferred it to be just like an exile thing where it's like maybe he does it beforehand and like he loses his or something like that. That would have been more exciting than just like you flip this coin, you're just automatically out of the game. Like that's just not exciting to me. And especially considering that Stephanie does end up going, imagine a world where she doesn't go there. That's the part that like, you know, I think about. So yeah. So that's the thing that it's things like that I think kind of did hurt the flow of the season. And then even in the next episode, what is the point of splitting them up into multiple groups at that point?
That was a twist I didn't like. We talked about it the first time I was on. I hated it the first time. I hated it this time. I think it's just let's nix this twist, please.
Yeah, it's
because I feel like it depends on who you're grouped with. It's really about chance, and it's hurt people in the past that really have promising games, but just got unlucky with the people they were grouped with. Like, I know you haven't watched Cook Islands, Kevin, but but in Cook Islands, there was, what's it, Cook Islands? Oh God, I hope I'm thinking about season. Or, was it Fiji? Oh God, I'm bad at this. But there was Michelle who got fucking twist screwed by being in a group of people that like were like the majority. She was in the majority alliance, but she got into a group with a bunch of people who were in the minority alliance, and they voted her ass out. And like it literally, she would not have gone had it been a normal tribal, but she got very unlucky with the split that she was a part of and got voted out. So like it's stuff like that I don't love because it's all to chance and it kind of fucks the momentum.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we get some great moments here, like Ozzy making, I think, one of the worst moves of all time and just straight up outing his game to Aubrey and just being like, here's my game on a silver platter. Here's everything I want to do in the end game. Here's my entire plan. Like, do whatever you want with this information. Totally not going to fuck me over in the end. Absolutely insane that he would do.
The wrong answer.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely insane that he would do something like that. But again, imagine how much more exciting that is if instead of like these two groups where Suri can't save him, it's instead one of those things where like everybody votes, but it's like you have two different groups that you have to vote for essentially, where it's like, one pile, it's this group of people, one pile, it's this group of people, and everybody still votes. I just think that is so much more interesting than dividing them into two groups, especially at such a crucial point of the game. It just feels like, and obviously, like, again, it wasn't as boring as we thought it would be, because obviously, like, the Emily vote's really exciting because they're trying to blindside Suri and it doesn't work, and then she plays the extra vote, and her and Devin are in shock about it. That's great. Or the Ozzy move and things like that, with him deciding to not play his idol for some reason and things like that, and Rizzo blindsiding him. That's all really great stuff. But again, how much more interesting is that if everybody is voting, if everybody is into that? You could still have like the same groups of people deciding to vote those people out. But again, if everyone is a part of that scramble, I just think it makes for far more exciting television than what we ultimately got. So yeah, I'm never going to be a fan of the split tribal, of the splits, like the demerge of it all. I don't find it interesting. I don't find it to be something that excites me. It's just one of those things that feels like every time it just kind of slows things down. And I think this time around, thankfully, we had some really great gameplay that I think that was more in spite of the twist than actually like because of the twist. But Benji, what do you think?
I agree with that, because I think even without the twist, I think there would be some inspired gameplay, because it's a group of veterans, and veterans are more likely to make moves.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think it's very interesting that they also implemented a duo style twist elimination before and couldn't just do it again individually. Like, what was the point?
Yeah.
Like,
right. Like, that's the other thing. Like, it feels like to me, and I have no way of knowing this, but it very much felt like they had like a certain amount of time they wanted this season to go. and they were like, oh shit, wait, we got to implement this thing. Okay, now we got to do this thing to make sure the season ends at this time. It didn't feel well thought out. It feels like this is all stuff you could have done at like the beginning of the season, because to me, like, having a bunch of doubles at the beginning is far more interesting than, a bunch of just single eliminations, and then suddenly now at the merge it's like double and then more normal round and then double, and then like it just, I don't know. I just didn't like the way it was structured. I think that, again, I have no issue with them having a double. It's just the way they decided to do it. And I agree with you. Like, the tether twist worked out so well because of the fact that everybody was voting. I don't understand why you couldn't just do something like that again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very disappointing. So yeah, I think that really is like the main thing that kind of hurts this season for me. But the other thing I do very much want to talk about here is really the editing of this season. Everyone's talked about it. The editing of the season feels very lopsided, feels kind of all over the place. A lot of the time it feels like it's hard to tell what is, really, like, what is really going on. It feels like there's a lot of players, especially towards the end of the season, that I feel like we didn't get to see enough of at the merge. Like Rizzo, for example, I think had a great edit, like pre-merge. But it feels like after a certain point, like they just didn't show him as much. They were so focused on like Suri and Ozzy's journeys, they didn't really do as much for Rizzo. And so you kind of get to the end of the season, and it's like Rizzo's making these moves that I do think were moves he could have eventually made, but you're kind of confused as to like, why is he suddenly voting out Ozzy? Why is he suddenly going for Suri? Like, stuff like that. It just, his game in general, I feel like we need to see a lot more of in the merge. And I think the same applies. Well, obviously, we'll talk about, Aubrey in a little bit, but the most obvious example of this is by far Tiffany, who, starts off the game and she's so under edited, and it feels like you don't even know that she's on the show. You would almost think she's not on the show.
I thought she was going to be twit screwed just because of the edit, because I was like, why else are you not showing Tiffany? Because
she makes such a deep run in the game. She wins like a bunch of immunities. People really like her. She ends up being this like contender to win. And then, but again, I have no way of knowing that because you just haven't been showing her enough. So I kind of just want to get both your thoughts on this. What do you guys think of like the editing of the season? I feel like it's been a hotly debated issue this entire time.
Toward the end of it, I do feel like as things start to wrap up, there are storylines they're trying to close in, and it feels a tad rushed. I feel like a lot of us are waiting for the gameplay and really wanting to listen out on what happens. You have the time, you have the expenditure of less people being here, so that way we could see everyone sharpen their knives and their claws or whatever their devices are and really sink into what the game is about. We want to see everything that make these players tick. And although I feel like we got some of it, I don't feel like we got a lot of it. And I'm sure there's I guess, devil's advocate of it. There's also only so much that you can actually show while also trying to direct a certain spot for the episode to go. If not, we could also blame them, for being clunky. So it just matters on what they want to prioritize to show us.
Yeah, I think for me the main issue I have is like I think that I think about like the first episode of this season and how well they did and like giving everyone at least like a moment. It kind of makes me think that maybe every episode of the season should have been like supersized because there just was so much to focus on. And I think maybe that would have led to probably more balanced editing. I do very much believe that if people didn't call out the fact that the women were so under edited, that they probably wouldn't have fix the editing with that later on in the season. So I'm glad that they did that at least. But again, most of the time it's just very unbalanced. And, even looking at our winner in Aubrey, who we'll talk about her game, she throughout the first half of this game, it just doesn't feel like she has much of a shot. She is someone that people are talking about as like, this social pariah of sorts. They're ready to vote her off. And it just doesn't really feel like she has much going for her. And then all of a sudden in the merge, they start to show her more. It feels very similar to like Erica in 41, where like she wasn't really shown all that much. People were wanting to vote her out. And then she just suddenly emerges as sort of like, somebody that, oh, we got to watch out for Aubrey. She's going to be this really big threat. There's this opportunity to vote her at the Stephanie vote, and they don't vote her, and it ends up being probably the worst move of the season because Aubrey wins the game, obviously, if they wouldn't have.
Thanks, Steph.
Right. If they.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, what happened? They didn't show yet? In all seriousness, so she does obviously end up winning. So it's just very frustrating in terms of the editing. And I agree with Benji, like there's only so much that they can show, but I think it's just such a consistent issue with this season. I think that's why we leave this season just not feeling as excited as we could have been. And I think that, when it comes to the end game and everything they do in like the last couple episodes, I think there's stuff they do fairly well. Like, again, the focus on Suri is always great. They do a great job of, showcasing just how strategically savvy she is compared to everybody else, how far ahead of the curve she is of everybody else. But again, it leads to sort of like an unsatisfying edit when you're so focused on Suri that it just kind of feels like if Suri doesn't win, this season isn't as good because she's such a focal point throughout the entire season. So I don't know. It's very frustrating because I think there's so many things they could have potentially edited differently. There's a lot of things they also focused on that they maybe didn't need to focus as much on. But again, I think it is very much a double-edged sword where it's like, you focus on Aubrey too much and then it becomes too obvious that she's going to win, but then you don't focus on her as much and it's like a little bit more surprising. So I don't know. I feel like it's always going to be hard for them to get it right, but I do feel like there is a middle ground and they just aren't able to quite find it this season.
Yeah, I think that was true with a lot of the players that you listed early on, especially Rizzo and Tiffany.
Yeah.
And like, and Chrissy to another extent. I mean, she was she did get twist screwed with being paired with Coach, but at the same time, a lot of from what I've heard online, a lot of why she was voted out was because she was kind of the strategic mastermind behind the alliance, and we didn't see any of that, and that really sucked. I want to see that part of it. I wish that they gave better edits to a lot of the people if they kind of minimized and were kind of, oh yeah, they're in this alliance, but they're not like mentioned as like what they themselves are doing, or we don't get their thought process of what they're thinking or why they're making these moves. So I agree about the people you said that were kind of under-edited. Aubrey, I have to say, had a pretty decent edit, in my opinion, but because I feel like we kind of got her journey from like, oh yeah, she's a pariah to, seeing her using those social connections as she got to the merge and like seeing the journey she went on to get to the win. So I actually would say Aubrey, I think, had a pretty satisfying edit. And it made sense for why she won, whereas some of the other people, they went super far and they were kind of almost, you couldn't tell what the hell they did.
Yeah, I think it's tough because like I think with Aubrey, like for me, it's more so like the beginning of the game. It's so focused on like Genevieve and not as much on Aubrey and things like that. And so again, I do think they did that to kind of like mislead you into thinking Aubrey was going, and I think they did that well. And I do think the end of the season they definitely do make up for the fact that like Aubrey is going to be the winner and things like that. But again, it's just one of those things where there's just a lot more that I wish we just could have seen. But again, I don't think they're ever going to get it 100%. I just think they need in that middle ground, and I think they were kind of struggling with that this season, especially because this is the most amount of players they've ever had. I think that, and they just needed to find a way to just balance everything better because there's definitely a lot of question marks I have by the end of the season for sure.
No, me as well, and I think that was where they really screwed up was, okay, why is this happening? And it kind of sucked.
So wasn't super crazy about some of the editing. But let's talk about some of the gameplay we have in these 4 episodes, because there's a lot of stuff to get into here. I kind of want to talk about some of the players that do end up going. Stephanie, not much to say about her. I don't really want to talk about her that much. I felt like she was just kind of here. Not really much to really write home about, other than the fact that I do think her biggest mistake in this game is telling Suri what she got at the exile. I think that really did kind of fuck her over. And I think if that didn't happen, like maybe things go a little bit differently for her, but really not much to say about Stephanie. I do want to talk a little bit about Ozzy, because what a game that he had this season. I mean, the way that he came into this, and he did actually try to be a lot more social this time around, and he was trying to make bonds. Like he was doing so well up to that point where he decides to just kind of like out his entire game to Aubrey and things like that. And like I said, I think it's generally one of the worst moves I think I've ever seen in Survivor. I couldn't believe that was actually happening. What do you guys think of Ozzy this season?
I think Ozzy at the very end, especially the episode where he left, was getting too overconfident. And I think that's the best way to describe it. Like, he was like, okay, Aubrey's on her way out the door, so I'm just going to lay out my entire plan to Aubrey because she's definitely going home. And, I think he should have followed that dream he had and played the damn idol, because he's a threat. And he was, he played it so well up until that episode, in my opinion. I think he followed Suri's lead very well. His alliance with her and Rizzo was really strong, and they were really running things up until that point. I think he's really the reason that alliance really had the downfall that it did.
Oh, well, speaking of well, I don't know if it's a downfall, but Mike.
Speaking of a downfall,
how are you going to introduce the human like that?
I'll have you know, it's actually System of a Downfall.
Oh, okay.
Chop suey.
I'm not doing that again.
That's wild. But back to Ozzy. Ozzy was definitely someone I was rooting for this season.
Yeah.
I think the editors had a gold mine of, I dreamt that I was going home, and then did not play it. I was yelling at my phone the entire time. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Especially when it's a double. You're at 7. The last time you could use it is at 7 anyway. What's the point of keeping it?
Literally, I do not understand that.
Generally baffling gameplay. I think, like I said, he was doing so well up to that point. I think he just got too confident, and I think he just believed that, like, this is my, like, I think the problem is when you're told that, like, and this is something I see happen a lot. Like, you're told that you're going to win the game. You become so confident that that's what's going to happen and that things are just going to go your way. And I think for Ozzy, like, he just kind of thought, like, oh, I can just do whatever I want. I can just tell her what I'm doing. And, like, this is a great way for me to, like, build trust with her. It's like, of course it's not. You're telling her that you want to take someone to the end. That's not her. How do you think she's going to respond? Like, it was... I don't even know what to say. Like, it was absolutely insane. I don't know why he decided to do that. And then, of course, to top it all up, he doesn't even play his idol at a spot where he absolutely should. I don't even, like, even if you don't think you're going to go, why wouldn't you play the idol there? There's so few people at that point. They could easily snipe you.
And he's done it before with not playing the idol and lived to regret it. And he's like, oh, I really, should always play my idols. Like, well, then play it, dang it.
I think we just need to stop giving Ozzy idols at this point, because
I think you're right.
But yeah, so Ozzy's downfall, crazy to see the way that all goes down. Yeah, I wanted to quickly kind of give my thoughts on him. We'll talk about the other person who goes, Emily. I think Emily was someone that for a while I thought was in one of the best spots in the game. And that's another one where, like, it seems like she was almost the entire time. Like, people were talking about in, like, exit press and things like that, that, like, they thought Emily was, like, kind of one of the people running the game. They felt really good with her. They felt like she was one of the best strategic people on the cast. And I feel like her edit just kind of dies when you get to the merge. Like, she's there, she's a character, but what's really going on with Emily? I feel like her story was more so in like the pre-merge. So it's yet another person, like, Emily's probably not winning the game because they don't focus much on her. So her going when she does is not that much of a shock. It's a great moment from Cerise seeing her play that extra vote.
Oh yeah.
But Emily going wasn't particularly shocked to see because, like I said, her edit just kind of died.
I mean, to counteract that in a sense, I mean, Joe's right there. So with that being said, at the very least, with that, at least Emily was going somewhere. I think this is where that part of the split becomes a very unfortunate circumstance for me.
Yes.
I'm happy to see Suri go, or not go, mind you. I'm sad that Emily has to leave.
Benji almost got himself kicked off the podcast.
I almost punted myself. No, because I'm a Cerise stan. Let's get that right. No, I'm happy to see Cerise stay, especially because she was the one that set that up.
Yeah.
I'm sad that Emily had to go because I think there was at least a good decent chance of whatever she could muster up in the game. Do I think she was gonna win at this point? No. But do I think she deserved better than that split double schmageg? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And how interesting that Emily and Ozzy were once paired together to now be voted off at the same damn.
Isn't that wild?
Crazy. Mike, any thoughts on Emily or Ozzy real quick? I know you just got here.
I mean, if you've seen the AI slop that's been floating around about all that, it's truly a match made to be, Mr. Kev.
Yeah, for sure. The less said about that shit, the better. I'm sure the 3 people that voted for Jonathan are going to be very excited to hear that news because they probably believe it. Anyway, yeah.
We love Jonathan's pregame lines. No, we don't.
Yeah, no, we don't love the Zoom Alliance that Joe was allegedly not a part of. I was never a part of that. Don't listen to anyone. I was not a part of that. Sure, you weren't, Joe. But yeah, in regards,
I know what you're talking about, Mr. Jeff.
We'll talk about Jonathan a little bit. But
Listen,
like
all I'm gonna say is the amount of unruly things that I've seen about Stephanie's performance at Final Tribal Council and Jonathan is too many that I needed to see.
But he's the whole package, Benji. You know.
He's the whole package I want to throw in the trash, but
I mean, boxes are packages.
Yeah. I think I need to return this real quick. I think the batteries aren't working here, and I think my order might have been the wrong order. Like I think I need to change some things up.
They got me off of Temu, Mr. Jeff.
Yeah. But no. So we talked about Emily and Ozzy. Let's quickly talk about Devins and Suri, who end up going in a very predictable episode. I will say. I think everyone kind of suspected Devins was going to go. I really was like holding out hope it wasn't going to be Suri, but we'll talk about that. Devins going, not particularly shocking. I mean, he said it himself. I think he started off this game really well. And then he just like went full Devins and just started doing a bunch of flashy shit, and it made it impossible for anybody to want him at the end, because it's like he's doing all this crazy stuff and getting away with it. Why would we want to sit next to him? So I think he kind of did it to himself, where it's like, I love the fact that he did the things that he did. It just kind of resulted in him never having a chance to win, because in a normal season, you can do stuff like that and people are thrown off by it, and it really gets everybody to question things. But in a returnee season, these guys know what they're doing. They're not dumb. They know that you probably did that to throw them off, and it it worked in the sense it was really fun to watch. But again, I think it just kind of made it so his like chances of winning just kind of depleted more every single round, the crazier stuff he was doing. So I wasn't particularly shocked to see him go. I was certainly sad to see him go. I really enjoyed watching Devins this season, but I wasn't particularly shocked about it. But what do you guys think?
I think I'm in the unpopular when I say this, but I was also a fan of Devon's on Edge of Extinction as well. I thought anyway, I thought he brought a lot of entertainment to Edge of Extinction personally, and I definitely unpopular when I say I feel like the last episode in particular. I thought Devins and Chris specifically brought a lot and shook things up in the short time that Chris was back in the game for.
Yes.
Which is why I also unpopularly, despite Chris Underwood only playing 12 days, still think he's a decent winner.
I agree. I would love to. He's someone I would love to see back, just because like he really didn't get a chance to play Survivor full on, and I would love to see him actually get a chance to prove that he deserved his win by doing even better the second time he comes back. I like both of them as well.
It's definitely one of like the, if not the most contested win of over the years.
I've seen it.
Very, very controversial, just because of how the twist worked. But it's like not only did he benefit from that twist, which is not his fault directly.
No, at all.
But he did just about everything from his time back in on
to earn a win. Exactly. And I mean, I would, like I said, I'd love to see him play,
including throwing himself into fire to get Devins out.
Exactly. Like that
was his own number one ally.
Amazing. Yes, I really enjoyed the 25th player of the season in Chris Underwood. He was definitely
Underwood, congratulations.
Get back to Survivor. As much as I enjoy us reminiscing, can we get back to Survivor 50 real quick?
I would say
Chris is the superior Underwood between the two I could think of.
I would say I absolutely love the entertainment and just the sheer chaos he brought to the season, because I think it helped make 50 what it was to a certain extent. I know a lot of people were not too pleased with all of his antics online, and people were kind of annoyed and whatever. And the same thing with Edge of Extinction. He attracts people, dislike that kind of gameplay. It's fine. I just thought it brought entertainment as much as it screwed his chances in the end of winning, because everyone felt like they couldn't trust him. I think he helped make Survivor 50, like the highs of Survivor 50, really be as high as they were. So I have to say, hats off to him for the game he played. But I think it was his time to go when he left. But I enjoyed seeing him play again.
Benji, thoughts on Devins?
Oh, I love the unpredictability of Devins. I love that he just doesn't allow anyone to sit on their laurels for a damn minute, not even himself. I think bringing in the unpredictability of Survivor is what I enjoy most. Like, I don't want to be able to sit and look at a vote and be like, okay, like we came to see a knockout, drag out, beat down fight.
Yeah.
For $1 million.
See Rick Devins in drag. Sorry, continue. The only word I processed out of that was drag.
Was drag. Yes, so Rick Devins will now be appearing on season 19 of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Anyway, welcome to the stage.
Please welcome to the stage, Ricky Devine. But anyways, no, love Devins. I think Devins doesn't.
If you want to piss the Jonathan fans off even more, there you go.
And will every time. But no, love Devins. I think he's very underrated.
Yeah.
For the fact that like he's not the predictable player, but that's just as much what I love about him. So like props to Devins. wish that he was definitely one of those like more risque front runners, like from the bottom type front runners for me, but I would have loved to see him go a bit farther than what he got.
Yeah, I would have loved to see him go a little farther too. I think again, it's just one of those things where like, you do flashy move after flashy move. It's like when people have the opportunity to finally take you out, when you don't have an idol or an idol, there's nothing you can really do at that point. So I loved watching him this season, but I think it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that he was going to be out the door very soon. And then of course we talk about the one that just is the most dreadful of them all. Seeing Suri go out right before the finale. This was something that I was really hoping was not going to happen. I was hoping she would at least make the finale. Yes, Mike, you have a question for the class and or a statement for the class?
I feel like this is the wrong time to say this, but to chime in on Suri leaving, Suri's exit was the boot that confirmed the one spoiler I had from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And this is where I confess, y'all, I knew.
Yes, we will talk about that. Yes, we already revealed who won, but
yeah, so did Kelshi.
Yeah, but no, with Suri, like I was just really hoping that like she would at least get like 5th or 4th, and we would get to see her in the finale, which we do get to see her in the finale. But, like I wanted to see just a couple more rounds of gameplay for her, and she does all she can to like obviously really fight for her spot here. Tries to get Jonathan to turn against Aubrey, which according to Suri, like actually was potentially going to be a thing. Like Jonathan seemed like he was actually maybe going to do it, but ultimately it just doesn't really happen. Suri ends up going here, playing just such a masterful game, doing such a great job of being somebody that like everybody knows Suri, everybody knows how great of a player she is, and yet there was this like sort of just aura and presence to her that like everybody just gravitated to Suri. Like the episode I especially think about with this is the tether twist, where everyone is so focused on, well, this is what Suri wants me to do, so therefore I have to do it. And it seemed like at that point, like maybe Suri's just gonna win this. And I do think partially, Ozzy going does hurt her, but I don't think necessarily that's what did. I think it's just unfortunately people saw Suri, they know she's in the game, they didn't want her to get there, and it sucks to see, because like I was having debates with friends for all season, like, no, Suri can do it, like it's gonna happen. Like I know she's gone out early before, but this is like I know she's gone out like close to the end before, but it's gonna happen. She's finally gonna get her win, and it still unfortunately doesn't happen. But
I may or may not be the friend that was the victim of the debates.
Yes. But what do we want to say about Suri besides everything?
Give her damn crown.
Yes.
She deserves that shit and then some. Knowing that she's not going to come back to play anymore sucks ass. Like, but to celebrate 20 years and come back for that final time and truly cement her like status as the best to never win is so prolific. I was rooting for her from the beginning, ever since I started my like Survivor historian journey, and I stopped on Panama. I've heard nothing but great things about Suri beforehand, so to fall in love with her chronologically has been fantastic. I can't wait to see what else she does, because if she's not on my screen, I'm not happy. But no, I adore that woman from a gameplay standpoint for Survivor and everything that she's been able to give to us, because she is also divinely reality TV in the best way possible.
So I think that Chris Underwood did.
Suri.
Oh my gosh, where do you even begin? Every season I was hoping for the best for her, and I was just glad to see as the season progressed. I thought things could she actually had a real shot of really her final time playing Survivor, it ending in the win for her, which would have been thrilled if that's where the journey of the season had gone to. Unfortunately, I do think with Ozzy leaving, I don't know if it was the biggest thing that started. I think it started the downfall of like people looking in the alliance, and especially with the stuff Ozzy revealed to Aubrey about how much control Suri had. I think there was a lot of that is what contributed to her going when she did, because I think Aubrey was the smart cookie who kind of was like, we got to get her out, because everyone else kind of just like Suri, and I think that's how Aubrey earned her flowers to win, to be completely honest with you. So kudos to her for that. But like at the same time, I'm so sad that Suri didn't get her W, because she really deserved it. She played her heart out and did an amazing job.
Yeah, and I think, oh, go ahead.
Mr. Jeff, I wasn't finished.
Not Mr. Jeff, bye.
No, Mr. Jeff, we don't need that no more.
Anyway, go ahead, Jonathan, I guess.
There were two prominent spoilers that went around, I'll be fully honest. One was that I'm gonna shut up. No, one rumor was that Aubrey won, the other was that Suri won. So when it turned out that those two were going after each other, I said right then and there, okay, whoever goes here, the other is clearly the winner. There's a lot of things that went out there. Don't you dare. Do not.
I had to.
There were a lot of things that were out in the air, and from my personal opinion as a longtime Survivor viewer, it is very hard not to get spoiled on an all-returnee season.
Yeah.
I somehow did not know the winner of Winners at War, and I think that's the only one. I think that and like the end of Game Changers are the only two I did not have like spoilers for. But that's also because I didn't pay attention to them. Like I had the entire boot list of second chances spoiled, and I knew who won Karamoan ahead of time.
Yeah, I don't really look for spoilers, so I usually am very surprised watching the show. I'm usually the one's like, that happened and that happened, because I genuinely don't look. I was hardly ever spoiled. And please don't spoil me, y'all. Preseason.
I got a phenomenal reaction when I was told the alleged final three after episode 1. And when it actually happened, I was like, "There's no fucking way!" Really?
Yeah, we'll get into that. But...
And then something else happened in a few rounds. But getting back to Suri, I think that Chris Underwood is a very underrated winner. No, but Suri, by all means, is the GOAT, the greatest. From all the way back to Panama, she was phenomenal. Micronesia should have, not should have, because I'm not taking that crown from poverty. But a lot of controversy with what happened back then with what happened with Suri. And then Advantage Geddon. We'll skip over heroes versus villains because obvious reasons. And then now, like, I think this was her second best performance of the 5 US seasons. I believe she lost the fire making in Australia, but I haven't seen that.
From what I heard, it's mostly like she plays really well, but it's mostly like she knows that like Parvati's probably gonna win it. So
good. But I do think best to never win Survivor. Her Traitors win was god tier.
Oh yeah.
And I think she's the best Survivor player to ever set foot in the Humiliverse. the best Humiliverse alumni to ever play Survivor.
That is one of Mike's favorite stats to talk about when it comes to Suri.
Oh, it's because I saw a tweet about it. I saw a tweet about it and just ran with it.
But yeah, I mean, to go back to Jazzy's point, I think honestly what really kind of does her in is what Ozzy said to Aubrey. I think if that doesn't happen, there is a universe where Aubrey thinks, okay, maybe let's just go in a different direction. You know, maybe let's just do like a Jonathan or a Joe or something like that. It doesn't, or maybe we go Rizzo. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be Suri here. But I think the problem is, like, when you have that information's always, you know, it's currency, but it's also something you're not gonna forget about. And I think for Aubrey, like, she kept it, you know, stored in the back of her head to use it at the right time. And I think in her mind, you know, if I'm Aubrey, I'm thinking like, well, Suri's got a confirmed jury vote there that I might not necessarily have if I'm at the end with her. So why would I keep her around? So I think it's not really anything Suri did. I think she did all she could. It's just unfortunately Aussie kind of fucked her. And then also I think again, she always has this huge reputation. People see her as, and you know, when you eventually take the blinders off, you know the kind of player that Suri is. There's just no way you're going to let her, unfortunately, get to the end. And so it sucks because, like Benji said, this is probably the last time we're ever going to see her. But I think this was a hell of a note to go off on. And I mean, the fact she got the fan favorite award and things like that, she at least gets that. Nobody can take that away from her. I think, you know, she'll always be remembered as one of the best to ever, probably the best to never win. And I think this season really did kind of prove that. But it is really sad because, like, I really was just holding out hope that, like, maybe it was going to happen. You know, maybe something would work out for her. It just unfortunately didn't quite go the way that we were hoping. So it sucks to see Suri go out, but, you know, went on the best way that she could. And yeah, it makes, unfortunately, Suri and Devon's going, it makes the final five extremely predictable. You know exactly, even if I didn't know that final three, even if I didn't know what was going to happen, because I'm the person that Mike's alluding to with who he told the final three about. But even if I didn't know that, I still would feel like I know what's going to happen here. I feel like it's a fairly predictable, final five here. And it's unfortunate to see the way it does end up playing out because, you know, we go to Tiffany here. And, I mean, you want to talk about somebody who I think went out in a very unfair way. Let's talk about Tiffany because obviously, yes, Tiffany won a bunch of immunities. Tiffany, I think, was going to be a really big threat at the end. She had a lot of people on her side. She played the middle very well. But the fact that Tiffany goes out solely because Jonathan doesn't want to sit next to any women and, you know, particularly Black women, and is clearly, you know, very, you know, clearly is showing and honestly reminding me why I fucking hate Jonathan because of this moment of him, you know, saying that to her is disgusting to see. And it's really
no accountability, Mr. Jeff.
And it's really unfortunate to see that happen because, yeah, the way the edit was done, like Rizzo makes that comment to her and, like, sure, it sucked for him to be so direct, but I think he said exactly what he needed to in that moment where it's like, listen, I can't beat you. I know that you're going to, you know, I know you're going to do really well in that jury. I just know that you are going to win if I sit next to you. And to realize that, you know, it was Jonathan's comment that really, like, riled her up, and they didn't even show that on the show, I think is honestly very unfair.
I wonder why.
Oh, I know exactly why they did it.
Oh, I know exactly why, too.
It makes it it makes it look like Tiffany is just kind of getting mad for no reason. Yeah. I saw Facebook, of course, complaining about this and things like that. So yeah, it's just really sad to see her go out in the way that she did. I do think that she was a really big threat. I do think she absolutely could have won the game if she got to the end. The one thing Tiffany has going for her, you know, coming out of the season, and I think she proves why she was cast on this season. I think she more than showed her potential. And I don't think it's not like she didn't on 46. I think it was just kind of cut short. I feel like this season, she really got to show the type of player that she is, how willing she is to pivot, how willing she is to make a move, how good she is at getting people on her side. I even think about, you know, when she makes that, you know, gets closer to, you know, Aubrey and things like that. I think things like that were like really great moments for Tiffany early on in the season. It sucks that the show didn't really want to show her much. And two, unfortunately, she goes out a bunch, because a bunch of the guys on the cast are very misogynistic and just want to go to the end with each other. So yeah, sucks to see Tiffany go out. I think that, like I said, she played a really great game. I don't, unfortunately, think she ever was going to win this season based on a couple things, but also just the way they edited her, it was fairly obvious what was going to happen. But yeah, it was great to see her play again. I definitely don't think this is the last we're going to see her. I think we're definitely going to see her again in the near future. But what do you guys want to say about it?
Because I got a lot to say. Miss Tiffany went on a good ass immunity challenge run. I was so proud of her. The reason that Jonathan gave specifically on why he wanted her out, not just because he was beaten by Tiff. It was because, oh, I was beaten by a woman, therefore it's different.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but when it's not Aubrey, or when it's Aubrey, it's okay. Like, what are you trying to settle for
Right.
here? Like, it did not rub me the right way at all, and like she knew what was happening, so she had to say what she had to say to get it off her chest. It wasn't correct. It wasn't right, in my opinion. Like, if you can lose to a woman any day of the week. Like, just own the fact that you lost. It's not all that bad.
No.
Truly, get over it, and just be like, okay, today was not my day, and move forward. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like,
Spoilers. This still does to this day doesn't happen.
But no, like it still sucks to even see someone have that type of mentality, especially when Tiff truly has like raised the stake for her game and in such a short time, literally what, a year and a half turnaround?
Yeah.
That's not easy.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think when Tiff was initially on the cast, like when it came to like 46, like I didn't necessarily, she wasn't one of the first people I thought about, but like when looking at the list, I was like, oh, actually, no, that I could see her doing really well in this cast, and I was happy to see that that was the case. So it really just kind of sucks to see her out in the way she did.
Yeah. One thing, when she was first cast, a lot of people underestimated Tiffany, and from the very beginning, I was like, I think she's going to be that wild card pick that's going to surprise so many people with how well she's going to do. And I am so glad that I was right on about that. Yeah. What really sucks for me, I think, in her elimination episode, how freaking close that challenge was. That she literally, it was like a millisecond.
Yeah.
That like she lost a challenge. Like that really, like, oh my gosh. I was just so sad for her because I think what a hell of a ride that Tiffany had. And I would have loved to have seen her continue on and continue fighting. And even if she didn't get to the end, if she had just beaten Jonathan's ass, I would have been so happy.
I also want to touch base on I think Tiff called it out on the show perfectly, to where she mentions that why am I this threat with 3 immunity wins when Joe has 3 too?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know why? Because some people lost to Marianne and are threatened by it.
You're scared of women.
Toxic masculinity and
wait, but how did she play the middle, Mike? How did that happen?
Well, you see, Mr. Jeff.
Oh no. I just have PTSD anytime I hear that.
The translation, he was mad. Like, just say that.
PTSD on Mr. Jeff. Anyway.
Bye.
I heard Jazzy say PTSD and the bit came like that.
I'm insane, but here we are. Were you going to continue your thought before I rudely interrupted you there?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I said what I needed to say. I thought it was bullshit that, Tiff called out perfectly that it's bullshit that why am I this threat with this big immunity threat when Joe has won just as many.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I think it's great that she did say that she would play again 9 times out of 10 if she gets the, phone call and things like that. So I think this definitely will not be the last that we see of her. I think all she did this season was really just kind of prove why she is probably one of the best in the new era, why she was selected for this cast. I think she really just killed it. And it just sucks to see her go out how she does. So that's Tiffany. But we move on to our fire making person here in Rizzo. Oh shit, they didn't show the fire yet.
They didn't show the fire, Jeff. They didn't show the fire, Jeff. They didn't show the fire, Jeff.
Okay, so fire making is something that is very much a very, I would say, controversial sort of thing that they do. Some people really like it and they think it really heightens the tension. It's really exciting to see. And then some people think it's not as fun because you're kind of just watching people make a fire and you're not really getting to see what would actually happen if they went into rather than a final 4 votes. So people get really annoyed about that. But then sometimes you have moments where, you have a fire making challenge, but you don't actually see the challenge before you know. Exactly. Yeah. So here's the thing. We can talk about Rizzo and we will, but there's no way to talk about Rizzo without talking about this small little thing that happens. So as we know, this was a live finale, and
as you see, Rizzo's the last member. Rizzo, you're the last member of the jury.
Yeah, so,
that grinded my damn gears. Oh my god.
So yeah, Jeff on the live prematurely announces that Rizzo is the last member of the jury without us even getting to see the fire making challenge. And I need to know your thought. What was your initial reaction when you saw this happen?
My jaw
looked at D
dropped.
first. No, literally. I looked at D first, and D was looking at Jeff like, "No, my dude, no." And then Sari clocking in and just said the fire making hasn't happened yet.
They didn't show the fire.
Right. And he goes,
Huh?
"Well, I don't know what happened, so."
I was like, did he just?
Yeah, I was like, there's no way. I thought for sure I missed something. I was like, definitely, they showed something and I didn't see it or I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
Knowing the other thing too is knowing what I knew going into the finale and knowing how the dynamics were forming in this end game, it was extremely obvious Aubrey won out.
Yeah.
And by that, obviously, I just be winning literally just final immunity there.
I will say, Samotion is a bitch and a half to try and complete. So, out of the one individual immunity she could win, she won probably one of the hardest. That would probably break a lot of people in half. Fantastic.
I have ADHD. That would murder me.
Oh, me too. It wouldn't be good.
Oh, I would be thinking of too many quotes in my head to distract myself, and then I get distracted and be like, well, okay.
I have songs playing
my,
in my head.
my neurodivergent ass would be...
I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to get involved.
Yeah.
My neurodivergent ass would be finished in that challenge faster than Kyle on the pool floaty. I'm just saying.
Yeah. We'll talk about Samotion a little bit, but going back to the fire making of it all again, I was just in shock when it happened. I've legitimately never seen anything like that before. It was on par with Julie revealing that there was a triple eviction before the triple eviction actually happened. In fact, but this is way worse because it's edited footage that already happened, and you're announcing an outcome that we haven't seen. So. Yeah, I mean, I just really hope this means that we're never going to see a live finale again, because I feel like that's what...
I know, that was the one thing I was like, oh, please.
We didn't get live finales.
I think they're just going to cut to Jeff before.
We haven't gotten a proper live finale since 39 anyway, so I feel like that's inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that it's something that like every so often that they do, because I mean, as someone who hasn't seen a live finale yet, this was demonstrably better than what they've been doing. Especially the whole like bringing people out after they were when they were supposed to be brought out when they were voted out. Fire making outs and things like that. I thought the whole way it was done was really great, but maybe there's some kinks that maybe need to be worked out, and this was perhaps one of them. But no, we'll go ahead. We talked about the fire making. Let's go to Rizzo real quick, because I think it was pretty obvious that Rizzo was going to go here, even without all of that. From the way they were editing the footage and him just barely being able to make a fire and him just really struggling, I've noticed a trend recently, and this is why I don't like the fire making challenge in the way they edit the segment beforehand, and it's that someone really struggles and they're not getting it, and then at the last second they get it, and it's like, oh my god, it's going to happen, and then they give you false hope that person is going to win the fire making, and then that person gets fourth. That's literally
Counterpoint, Eva.
Okay, well, that's the only exception.
Yeah.
Almost every single time, the person who struggles is the person who ends up going, and that was very much the case for Rizzo. I don't even think he had like a flame. It was like pretty much, yeah. He didn't even have like even somewhat of a spark. It was pretty instantaneous that Jonathan was going to get this. Joe is the one that's staying to the end, so it's Rizzo versus Jonathan, and both. I did think it was cool that like these are two people who have gone out in fire making before. I just hate the fucking Jonathan was the one to get it, because I really wanted to see Rizzo plead his case at the end, because in my opinion, I think he played even better this time around than he did last time. I think last time around he had the three of Savannah and Soph and things like that, and he did a good job of managing that, but he was very similar to like Devins, that he had this like very flashy game, and it seemed like the jury wasn't really loving it. Like if you watch back 49 when he eventually does play the idol, their reactions are not exactly like ones that are excited that he's finally doing it. It's more just like, oh my god, we get it, just play the fucking idol. I think this time around he did a better job of really kind of like hiding in plain sight, where it's like people knew Rizzo was in the game, but they never really knew where he stood. And like he even talked about this in Exit Press. Like there was a moment with Emily where she kind of went to him and said, listen, I don't know the game that you're playing. I just know I'm enjoying working with you and things like that. So he did a really good job of hiding his positioning. No one really was able to figure out how close he was to Sari and Ozzy for a long time, until obviously Ozzy fucking ruined that. So, there was that. But I also think that, again, he just really showed how adaptable of a player he was. I mean, he had so many different obstacles early on in the season that could have hindered his game, and yet he was able to wrangle up all these people on his side, and he was someone that people continually felt like they should pull in. Like you even go to like Coach for you go to like Coach, for example, who saw Rizzo as like one of someone he was ready to like induct into his group and things like that. And even though Rizzo wasn't about that, like again, I think it really just speaks volumes about how good his social game was this time around. And I do think there were scenarios where Rizzo could have won. I've heard people say they feel like Rizzo wasn't going to win the game, but I feel like there were ways he could have. Like, sure, I think if Aubrey's there, I think Aubrey kind of just wins over everybody. But I do think Rizzo had a shot. And I do think that he more than proved this season why he deserved to be on this cast and why he is such a fantastic player in that way. I was really impressed by the way he played this season. I think that, again, the way he was able to adapt, the way he was able to get so many people on his side. I do have a slight issue with him letting Ozzy go initially and not just having him play the idol so then he can vote him out next round. I do think that was maybe a mistake for him because it made his idol so much more of a threat, but it wasn't something that he needed to play. He wasn't in a spot where he had to play it until until it finally expired. So, I think that overall Rizzo, I think, did an even better job this time around. And, sucks to see him go out twice in the fire making. even if it was announced prematurely. And that's the thing. That's always like no matter what happens, Rizzo's going to be one of the most memorable players on the season for that alone. And it sucks to say because like he played such a great game aside from that. So I feel like it's going to be overshadowed by this one incident. And I hope that people remember just how great of a game that Rizzo played because overall, I think he really killed it this season. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, one thing with Rizzo that I kind of was annoyed about, like I touched on this earlier, was the fact that he was very under edited once we got to the merge for the most part. And I feel like it was more like a tell not show kind of way of his game, which kind of was annoying. I wished we could have seen more of like nobody really knows where Rizzo is, and like Rizzo's kind of working social angle. Like I wish we could have seen more instead of the tell not show kind of thing with his game. Because I think, like you said, I think there was a scenario where he absolutely could have done very well, possibly won. But yeah, that was the one thing. Like after a while, I kind of was like, okay, he's not gonna win because of the way the editing was, unfortunately. But I very much enjoyed Rizzo's game. I think he definitely improved a lot from 49, even though I didn't pay that close attention in 49, so I may not be the best judge of that.
That
But
was a very weirdly edited season, especially like pre-merge wise. So
but I definitely really enjoyed watching him play a second time. I think he played a great game. I do think I agree what you said about him warding Ozzy would have been good. I think it would have been. I don't know because like Ozzy more put a target on himself and Sari, and I think that actually would have benefited Rizzo because if he was going to end up getting rid of both of them anyway, which I think is what he needed to do in order to win. Exactly. I think, that would have actually because he would have like gained Ozzy's trust. Like, hey, I see a world where that would have been a smart move, and then he ends up finding Ozzy later on. Like, I think that would have been incredible. So I could absolutely see that being a world where he could win because I think that would have been a really cool thing for him to do. But yeah, I enjoyed his game, but I feel like we didn't get to see a whole lot of it once merge hit. I think pre-merge we saw so much of what Rizzo was doing and how good of a game he was playing, and then as we went along, it was just kind of a number for Ozzy and Sari in terms of the edit, which kind of sucked because in the end, like I thought he ended up betraying them. And it would have been nice to even see like the seeds that planted, like, these are the two big threats, and I really can't win against either of them. Sort of thing. Like, I think I would have loved to have seen this mentality instead of like, Rizzo's going along with this plan. Like, gee, thanks. Like that's super helpful. So again, I wish we could have seen more of his game, than just hearing about it in press interviews and things like that.
Yeah, because it does kind of feel like he, does that great move with Charlie, and then after that, it just kind of becomes like, I'm really good with Sari, I'm really good with Ozzy. You hear a little bit about some of his connections, but it's just not nearly to the extent that we did in that first half of the season. And so I think it became pretty apparent that, like, Rizzo's probably not winning this game because, again, we're just not seeing as much from him, and his presence has just kind of dropped in that way. So I kind of agree with you where it's like I would have loved to see like the thinking behind a lot of his decisions. I think that's what was kind of missing in the edit for me. But Benji, Mike, what do you guys think?
I will give my thoughts because I do need to depart. But Rizzo was one of my picks to win this season as well. To see that his consistency has been just as exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was fantastic. I love the fact that he did not have to swing around the idol like a nunchuck because everyone saw that he had it. Everyone just kind of was like, it's okay. It's a part of his game. It is what it is. And then him, just to be able to see him grow as well as a player, I can't wait to hopefully meet him one day, maybe down the line at like a Hearts of Reality. But I've always been a big Rizzo stan. It's saddening to see that he went out the same way not once but twice within the span of a year. I think if it was a vote, Rizzo would have been there no problem.
Yeah, I think so for sure, and that's what really sucks about it. But Mike or Jonathan or Chris Underwood, what do you want to say?
I unfortunately have to disagree. If it's a vote, it's still Rizzo because Aubrey really wanted to specifically sit next to Joe and Jonathan because she knows she beats both of them.
Yeah,
which is absolutely valid because I did see, like, even in the edit with how she was speaking, it did seem like she thought Rizzo was much more of a threat than Jonathan. So I could absolutely see there being a world where she votes Rizzo out. I don't know about where Joe or Jonathan. Well,
She could take the C crate from 49 to the end of the game and still, and that C crate would still be a bigger threat than Joe or Jonathan with that theory.
yeah. I mean, I think we'll just get into it here. This final three is certainly not.
Hey, I didn't give my thoughts on Rizzo.
Okay, go ahead.
About to be skipped over like the final, like that announcement.
Like the fire ranking.
Fire hasn't happened yet.
Rizzo is one of very few players to play twice and never be voted out.
Yeah.
And Rizzo is currently the only player to lose fire making twice. So this was either way historic in the sense that it's the only time it's ever happened.
Absolutely.
But he also had the advantage of coming in fresh off of 49.
Right.
And people in doing so, people did not know what Rizzo was capable of. People did not know how Rizzo played unless Rizzo like specifically told them. The same case was for Savannah.
Right.
But that didn't go over.
No.
Well, for Savannah. But as I touched base on every single time I've gotten a chance to here, Rizzo before this was an order.
Mm-hmm.
During the pandemic, I've never seen Rizzo get like a bad placement in those orgs.
Yeah.
I played Pro Survivor 14. I get pre-jury. That doesn't matter. But Rizzo plays 15 season after mine, wins it. And then you have EXP where Kevin and I played season 9.
Oh, did we?
Did we? Yes, we did. And Rizzo played the season prior and got second.
Yes. Yeah, I was about to mention that, but yeah, Rizzo, I've said it before, I've been a huge fan of his since I've seen him play that game, actually. And so to see him come on to Survivor was really exciting. And I think, while 49, I really enjoyed his potential. Again, I feel like 50 is really where he showcased it, especially, he has all these moments throughout 50 talking about how, like, I'm going to be one of the greats. I'm going to walk away as, like, one of the, and people were wondering, like, what that was all about. I think at the end of the day, like, Rizzo proved that that's the case. Like, the fact
Rizzo
that he
went in with confidence and showed it.
Well, also the fact that he comes in is like an unknown factor. Like, nobody knows how Rizzo played. Unlike Savannah, he had the advantage of lying about how he played on 49. That Soph was like his number one and things like that, and he didn't vote for her to win when we know that wasn't necessarily the case. The fact that he
there is a confessional where Rizzo did say that, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I think in general, like, Rizzo just really kind of leaned into the fact that, like, hey, these people don't know how I am. They don't know, what I did on my season, so I can kind of just get away with whatever, and people aren't really going to see me as a threat. And while there were people that saw Rizzo as this unknown entity, people thought it's like an opportunity to...
Oh, no, not the entity.
People saw him as, like, an opportunity to, like, pull him into things, and I think in general, he just really just killed this season. So it sucks to see him go out in the way that he did. Similar to Tiffany, I have no doubt we're definitely going to see him again. The RIC OD Riz God baby will be back.
Incorrect. Got to do the whole thing.
R-I-Z G-O-D,
Missing a
right?
whole chunk of it.
What did I-
But being in the horror community for so long and knowing Rizzo was a part of that, it made me all the more proud to watch what truly is the super fans' fever dream of a journey come true for somebody. And I think Rizzo very much deserved the journey he got, and also the concept of an Orger getting Surrey Fields out of Survivor.
Yeah.
Like how that's amazing. Like,
But that for 26 episodes, 26 consecutive episodes, 2 full seasons.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, this is the end of the journey for the man, the myth, the legend, RIZGOD, Rizgod, baby.
let's go.
You know, I was a fan of his before Survivor, so I never got to meet Rizzo, but I'm definitely a fan of Rizzo now.
For sure. Just like I said, so fun to watch throughout these 2
And
seasons.
I hope we get more Orgers on Survivor soon. Like,
I hope so too.
This is such a fun trope to watch.
It really is.
that might potentially be happening, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, so we talked about Rizzo. let's get to this final 3 though, because as Mike has mentioned, when this final 3 was initially mentioned, I wasn't the happiest about it. There might be a potential photo going around.
I don't have it on this device.
Reacted to 3 that may or may not exist, and here we fucking are. It's Aubrey, it's Jonathan, and it's Joe. Now, having watched the season, unfortunately, this does make a lot of sense as to why this is the final 3. Aubrey, I think, did such a good job of playing the middle and also recognizing her spot in the game, the fact that she was being lumped in with the Christians and the Emilys and the Devins, and that she kind of needed to pivot away from that. I think that it makes sense for her to try, and she joins forces with Jonathan at that point. They make this potential final 2 agreement, and they never really waver on it, and so it kind of makes sense for that to be the case. And then Joe's just Joe. There's not anything to say about Joe at this point. He's just here. He tried playing a game that nobody really was receptive to. Nobody really was.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I forgot something with fire making that you mentioned.
I have something.
You mentioned Joe, but I did forget to mention something about fire making, and that I think it would have been really funny if Aubrey had the chance to do the funniest thing and send a firefighter to fire making.
Yeah.
Which, ironically enough, I think already happened.
Yeah, it did with Mike.
Mike, yeah. I forgot Mike was a firefighter.
Yeah, Mike could be Jonathan, which we love you, Mike, for that. Thank you.
Only Mike was on this season and not Jonathan, but
Yes.
I would have been fantastic in fire making. I would have sent Jonathan out right away, but no,
yes,
they made me stay home.
Yes, the runner-up of Survivor 42, Mike Vaccaro, definitely.
I am a runner-up somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere, yes.
Places.
Not Survivor 42.
Radical Survivor 42.
Yeah, we're gonna have 40. Yeah, we're actually gonna have 42 seasons. Yeah,
for 42 the stars.
Yeah, exactly.
High School Musical 42.
That was the cast. Yeah. So
High School 42
Radical season 42. Yeah. As a former winner myself, I would definitely.
Hang on, we're in the way.
Yes, as a former winner
You're
myself.
Still blocking it.
Oh yeah, I gotta turn audio avatars off. I can do that now that Benji's gone, because he wasn't able to come on camera. As a former winner myself,
it's Jazzy now. There we go.
I definitely know.
Played an idol.
Yeah, I definitely know a few about Radical. But in all seriousness, let's get back on track here. So we have this final 3. we have Joe, and like I said, the jury just was not receptive to his game as we kind of suspected. Barely giving it. I don't think he got would he get one question the entire way through the FTC? I think he barely got anything for people to ask about. He's kind of just sitting there the entire time. And to Joe's credit, he knew. Joe.
Who?
Exactly. To Joe's credit, he knew he was going to lose. He did say that in exit press. He wasn't naive of the fact that he didn't play a winning game or anything like that.
Well, that's what you get, Mr. Honor and Integrity.
That is something I will at least give Joe, is that he's not completely in denial about the fact that he didn't play a great game. He does obviously have the record for someone. He's one of the few people to never be voted out. He got to tribal council. He got to FTC twice. There's definitely something there to be proud of. I guess my issue with Joe this season.
Let me take over the stats here real quick. I got two for you. Two big ones. Joe is the second person in Survivor history to have the feat of not only just never being voted out twice, but is one of two people to do it by making it to the end.
Yeah.
The other one person to accomplish that was Michelle Fitzgerald. And the other feat is that Joe's name was never written down once.
Oh yeah,
the entire time.
That's crazy.
The only other person to do that was Sugar and Gabon.
That I did not. That I somehow did not realize. I think that does something to say about his game. People never saw him as an option, but I think it's also because people just didn't take Joe seriously this season. It's kind of very similar to 48.
They took him on 48 either, considering his only vote was Power Grab production member Cedric.
Yeah, I mean, at least with 48, he was able to at least have a group of people. This season, it was very much he was just kind of searching for his people. And I think my biggest issue with Joe this season is that he just didn't try to do anything different. It's he lost the game in 48, and he's just I'm just going to kind of try to do that again.
I lost the game.
Right, when it didn't end up working out, he just never really tried to change things up. And I think it was very disappointing to see, because I do think Joe could have actually had potentially somewhat of a chance if he had done stuff differently. He did have some fun confessionals. I'll give him that. I did love seeing Joe and just his detest for Rick Devens and things like that. That was definitely fun to watch. His sort of complete inability to play the game and not want anybody to play the game, I think is hilarious. And I've never anything quite like it before, but at the same time it's fucking infuriating, because it's this guy just kept getting by every single round and he just wasn't doing much of anything, and I think he always took the safest route possible. So I'm really not surprised he gets third here. I thought maybe there'd be a world where he got some kind of vote, but not with this cast. I don't think it was ever actually going to happen. So what do you guys want to say about Joe?
I mean, I would have just given him a pity vote just so Jonathan wouldn't be the only one who got votes. But genuinely, because honestly, Joe, I don't think played that. Joe played, like you said, basically the same game. And that was my biggest problem.
Joe a pity vote to win, but not me.
What?
Anyway,
you give Joe a pity vote to win, but not me.
Well, I hate Jonathan. Were you against Jonathan, the most annoying, misogynistic asshole?
Don't do cake like that, no.
But,
neither time, no.
But, I just... The thing with it...
Oh, you muted.
Wait, question. What would your pity vote even do? I'm going to call this out because Jonathan still had 3 votes.
Give you a vote.
It wouldn't change anything. It would just be what?
Okay, testing.
5, 3, 1?
Okay, you're back. You're back.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, you're sorry. I wouldn't have done anything, but I wanted him to be not to I didn't want Jonathan to be the only person that got votes. Was basically what I was saying.
Well, there was Aubrey.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, besides Aubrey, but I'm saying like of the
I
two
just don't-
losing
I just want to bake a cake filled with happiness. I
happiness
just want
and
everyone to get a jury
raindrops.
vote.
But what I was gonna say,
She doesn't
but
even
my
go
stupid
here.
thing unplugged itself.
First
So
vote.
good job.
No, she doesn't even go here.
That's fine.
Anyway, continue.
But
Your microphone is not winning unplugged.
my microphone is not letting unplug. It's got
That's
unplugged.
okay. Neither are you.
Neither am I, but it happens.
Actually, we have.
I got
Sorry.
decently close, but anyway.
But
that's a different
anyways,
conversation.
We got
I
closer.
think Joe. I questioned Joe coming back to begin with. At the our very beginning season assessment, I really think he much better would have fit in with a half and half cast.
Yes.
Because I think the newbies would gravitate towards him. Oh, Joe's loyal, Joe's trustworthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really think that's where he would have thrived and may have actually played a winning game. Whereas this time around with fraternities, he unfortunately had his honesty and integrity alliance, which nobody wanted to see do well. I mean, it got him to the end, but it wasn't.
At what cost? Yeah.
At what cost? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty clear in the beginning of this, like you said, when we looked at the cast assessment, even in the beginning of the game, like Joe just didn't fit on this cast. And I think really the only reason he gets all the way to the end is because there were such bigger threats in front of him and nobody was really paying attention to Joe. The only person who really was like looking at Joe was like Rick Devens, but even Rick Devens was like, I'm not voting Joe out.
Like it's a waste of a vote, basically.
Worked for him in the sense where like he got to the end, but again, like he didn't get any votes. So like, what does it matter at the end of the day? But Mike, go ahead, talk about Joe.
Why? Actually, as someone who met Eva right before the season premiered, I will say I was looking forward to seeing Joe just because Joe was her comfort person on 48.
I
don't know if we do that or not. I don't think the edit showed that enough.
No,
but no, seriously, it was nice to see Joe come back and somewhat be happy for him, I guess.
Joe is a person we love Joe as a person, but as a game player.
And that's the thing I will give.
I'm not big on Joe, but I think my favorite moment of his was him trying to cheese the double tribe, the tribal where they had to vote in pairs.
Yeah, and then he voted.
He tried to vote for one half of Coach's pair, but not the other. He wanted to vote for. He tried to vote for just Chrissy and not write Coach's name down.
And then I made him go back because you have to write Coach's name down.
It was great to see. I will say his exit press and like what he said postseason, I do respect the guy. He seems like a nice guy outside of the game and things like that, but perhaps a little too nice to play this game. And I think that's kind of my verdict on him, is that I think if Joe was a really like cutthroat player and he was willing to be a little more dirty and things like that and willing to like lie to people, I think he'd be really effective. Unfortunately, just as is, he's just it's never gonna amount to a winning game unless it's like what Jazzy said, where it's like maybe if he's with like a group of newbies, maybe he then has a bit more of a chance. But we just haven't.
Pull up Micronesia and last minute change the final 3 to a final 2, and they cut Aubrey maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Joe. Let's talk about Jonathan, because there's a lot to say about Jonathan here.
I'm good. I'm good.
I really do hate to say it. I do think Jonathan did play somewhat better this time around. He was a little bit more strategic. He was willing to be somebody that, was willing to, kind of like lie and deceive and things like that. And I think he did a good job with that, particularly when it comes to the Camilla vote and things like that. I think that was something he did pretty well. I thought he had some good moves in like the beginning of the murder. I'm trying to.
Especially for the Camilla vote. Fuck him for that.
But in general, I think, his game just I think the problem with Jonathan and why he ultimately doesn't win this game, obviously a big
problem with Jonathan, where do we begin?
Well, there's the jury management, which is horrendous.
It's the problem.
This entire game. He does not do a good job at sending people out in a way where they're not mad at him. He instigates a fight with Dee, for example, that I think was completely unnecessary in retrospect. Yes,
women.
Riled her up, but it didn't really it ended up really kind of hurting his game. He also capitulates to his allies going. He doesn't really try to fight for them as hard as he can. I think he absolutely could have potentially saved a Chrissy or a Coach, but instead he just kind of lets them go. And it puts Jonathan in a spot where, yeah, he's still here, but he doesn't really have the control that he really needs to get anything done. And so because of that, he ends this game in a spot where I think his game peaked really early. I think he did things early on that could have potentially put him in a really good position, but he lost the people that he could have potentially been the head of an alliance with, and because of that, he was just
because they were women.
Well, yes, but I think the thing with Jonathan in general is that when we really look back on his game, I do appreciate the fact he tried to do something different. I think, again, the problem with Jonathan is always going to be the fact that he has no real self-awareness, and he isn't able to recognize the fact that he did, in fact, kind of just cut his allies too early. And
he also doesn't recognize that hating women is bad.
Well, yes, there's very much that.
I have a song for Jonathan.
Yes.
You get on my nerves. You're so fucking annoying. You could poison, you're the worst.
Yeah. I can't stand him as a person. I do have to give him some credit for some of his gameplay early on. I do think that there is some stuff he did that I do think worked out pretty well, but unfortunately, when he got to FTC, he just didn't seem aware of the game that he played. I think he was so certain. It's the classic example, you get to the end, you're so certain you're going to win, you don't even try to consider the possibility that you might lose. And I think probably the worst thing he does at that FTC out of everything is try to discredit Aubrey's game as much as he can. I think there's a huge difference
because she's a woman.
FTCs, I think there's a huge Mike. I'm trying to give some nuance here. But anyway, I think the thing with I think the thing with Jonathan is that he just isn't able to fully recognize the fact that there's a big difference between talking about the great game that you played and really just kind of hyping your game up without consistently tearing down the other finalists. And it feels like Jonathan just didn't really know how to not do that. Everything that Aubrey said, Jonathan had some kind of remark towards. People were calling him out about it. And unless you were Stephanie or Chrissy or Coach, especially Stephanie, who's acting like Jonathan's God of planet Earth and we need to bow down at his feet, it just didn't really seem like Jonathan had much of a chance here. And I think ultimately, we talk about the Tiffany stuff. We talk about, we talk about just how rude he was.
No, this is funny. Keep going. Shit. I got caught.
Rude he was to the majority of the women on the cast. But unfortunately, I think really what it does come down to is the fact that he just had such poor jury management and wasn't able to fully recognize what he needed to do to get himself further. He was so fixated on Christian and Emily and Devitz, he never even considered the possibility that Aubrey might be lumped in with them. Even though he was told that information, he never did anything with it. He just kind of settled to working with Aubrey, didn't realize that Aubrey was a huge problem that he eventually needed to deal with, and he just didn't do anything about it. And so
I will say they were gonna deal with it, and they kind of didn't necessarily get the chance to. And that's the problem with making it last.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that he didn't realize it until it was too late. And, I think it's one of those things where you're sitting at the end, you're trying to convince the jury why what they're saying is wrong, but you have to understand the perception of the jury is going to be the perception of the jury. You don't want to necessarily change their perception. You just want to show them why there's another perception and that they can have both perceptions, but but that your perception is still one that is still something they could potentially be receptive to. And like I said, unless you're Stephanie, who views Jonathan as like the second coming of God or something like that,
package.
It's just not going to end up winning people over. So I think ultimately, I really don't like Jonathan as a person. I can go on and on about just how terrible and misogynistic and racist he is. But if I have to look at it from a gameplay perspective, I do think there are things he did well. It's just, unfortunately, it just kind of pittered out after a while.
Shit, you sound like you're going to vote for him too.
Oh, no.
I think overall, his game just ends up being one that he peaks very early and he just isn't able to have the control or the potential to really do much of anything. He didn't really have the sway to control it. So that's kind of how I feel about Jonathan. But what do we want to say from a gameplay perspective about Jonathan?
Listen.
Fuck him.
Okay. Thank you, Mike, for that. I am going to say he had a very powerful alliance very early on in the game. And I think as this members dwindled down, it kind of his power slowly depleted. And I think again, similar to Ozzy, where he had the delusion of like, oh, I'm good, there's nothing I can do that I can lose. And I think he had that same sort of delusion about himself that like, I'm the biggest threat. I'm the one that everybody is going to want to vote for. He truly thought this about himself and couldn't see a world where Aubrey or any woman could beat him. And like, that was his biggest fucking downfall, was he let his ego get in the way. And I mean, if he just put the ego aside and was like, okay, who's playing a good game? Who's a threat? Who do I need to get out? Instead of, oh, I need to be buddy with all my honesty and integrity people and like, Kiki, like, let's not, like, just actually look to see what is going to prevent you from winning the game. Not that I ever want to see you fucking win, Jonathan.
No.
But I mean, I think his ego absolutely is his downfall in this game, and I am glad it was, because he would have been a horrible winner.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want to.
You did. Or is it? So maybe you said. There's a cuter word for it. I know.
All right. Well,
I had a special guest call in with what I wanted to say about
Thank
Jonathan,
you, Sabrina
especially
Carpenter.
after his exit press interview shit.
Yes, I do want to say real quick.
Oh, dude,
I very much don't want to see Jonathan win ever either. I'm kind of just talking about, the merits of his game and things like that. As
the first
place. A person, I think he's a horrible fucking human being who seems to have so little disregard for anyone that doesn't just like bow down at his feet and see him as like this god and things like that, because everything he said on the exit press just really reminds me why I don't like the guy. Everything he says about the fact that like, oh, what? That can't be a jury. I don't understand how a jury can vote the way. They were so bitter. It's like,
I lost because talked on Mr. Jeff.
Right, like you did stuff to make them feel that way. You have to recognize, and I always say this about a bitter jury. A bitter jury is never the jury's fault. It's your fault because you didn't treat them correctly. And there are things that you could have potentially done to affect that. And there are also ways to combat against a bitter jury.
One bitter jury out there that I actually disagree with you on with that.
I would say it depends on why. If the jury is actually bitter, or if it's just like, someone's viewpoint that they believe the jury is better.
Or if
Like-
someone goes in with a pre-existing hatred for a player, and
Yeah.
they become the mayor, and then they form a jury pact, and then that person loses the exact same way they lost the first time.
Well,
No, that I could absolutely see. I think there are ways where
That's
I wouldn't
definitely never
necessarily
happened, right?
say it has
Right.
to. I wouldn't necessarily say it has to do with how they played the game if the jury is actually bitter. But like for me, I think he's just accusing the jury of being bitter when the point is that he did not play the best game, and the jury is voting on the best game, and he let his ego get in the way.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm more so talking about the fact that, like, I think if you have a bitter jury, a lot of the time, if you're owning up to your shit and the things that they're upset about, you can absolutely win them over. It's just Jonathan didn't do that. He interrupts Aubrey. He talks about the fact that he doesn't understand how she played the middle, and it's like, if you can't recognize that, you fundamentally misunderstood the game that's happening. And if you did that, like, why are we even going to give you your vote? So there's plenty of reasons why Jonathan doesn't win, and it's not because of the bitter jury. It's because he did everything he could to put himself in a spot where he was just not going to win the game and just didn't see the stuff that Aubrey was doing around him. And I think ultimately that's why he does end up not winning here. But yeah, his exit press has been generally disgusting to watch. I have not enjoyed a single second of it.
And even the one video where like they have the final three all there and they're handing Aubrey the check, and the pissed off face he has was like, dude, you lost. Get the fuck over it, okay?
Months ago, like, you should have recognized.
I lost the game, Mr. Jeff.
That's the thing. Like, if this was like Charlie, for example, where you're like first announcing it and you're kind of like, taking it all in, that I understand. It's like it just happened.
For sure. Like,
you had months to prepare for this, and you're
you
telling
have
me
months
that
to reflect on your game. You see what people's reaction, even in like people like in real time. He's seeing how the world is reacting to his game, and like there's so much he's taking in that, like, you should absolutely be over the fact that
I saw a tweet that was like, how did Jonathan watch the game he played and the edit that he got and still thought he won? Like, and I think that alone is like emblematic of just how delusional of a guy he really is. Like, he's so convinced that he won and that he should have won, and I feel like we're just gonna hear about this for like till the end of time now. That Jonathan, I should have won the game and things like that and all this stuff, and it's really frustrating to watch.
1000%, because I never wanted him back, and I am glad that I was proven absolutely fucking right. But Survivor, don't give this man a platform anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
unfortunately, I think
please don't. Like, please just let him seep into oblivion that no one's gonna fucking care about him. Please and thank you. XOXO Gossip Girl.
Yeah, agreed. So, yeah.
I'm just gonna put this out there. The specific bitter jury, to piggyback on that, the bitter jury comment that I made about like the one instance I disagree with, like, it depends on the person. It was how I feel about Paul on Big Brother 19. There definitely wasn't a conversation in the chat, in the private chat over here about this.
I can absolutely see that. Like I said, I think it's not always like, I think
no,
the jury
it's
is
literally
very,
that Cody,
it's very tricky.
Cody was
And
mayor.
when I was saying about being tricky, that was kind of also what I was referring to as Bigger Than 19, because I could kind of see that there's a lot of personal bias there, and I didn't love that. So
one too, because like, I would agree, but also Paul does not answer anything well in that finale and doesn't do themselves any favor.
Absolutely, he's terrible with like his answers and stuff. But I do see I do see the argument for the jury being better and whatnot. So I can understand where Mike is coming from as well. So
Either way, Paul literally had no shot.
are instances where no matter what you say, the jury is going to be like, fuck you. And,
Yeah.
you know, it very much depends because some juries are just so effing bitter. Like, I've seen instances like that where there's nothing you could ever say that.
As far as I know, it's been confirmed right along that Cody went into jury, first juror, with the obvious preemptive hatred for Paul that he had right along.
Right.
Said it in preseason interviews. I fucking hate Paul. Went into jury, started a pact, made sure Paul lost again, and that's where that all stems from. Regardless of how good or bad Paul's jury question.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think Paul could have sworn like 2 other people. But again, this is not relevant to what we're talking about.
Something relevant to our team, but like I totally get
No,
where
but it was,
I
but it was just as bad as the bag alliances we had there.
I'm going to say just bitter juries in general are a tricky beast, but this jury of 50 was not bitter. Jonathan is claiming they're bitter when they're actually rewarding the best game player of the 3. And, you know, just thinks he thinks he is God and he fucking isn't.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, we're talking about Jonathan too much. We might as well think he's God. So let's go ahead and stop and pivot over to the person.
Honestly, Jonathan saying he deserved to win is kind of like a certain person thinking they should have won.
Anyway, let's pivot over to Aubrey and stop talking about this. So we're going to go ahead and talk about Aubrey real quick. Not real quick. I have a lot to say about Aubrey's game because I will admit I did go into this season hearing multiple rumblings of Aubrey being the potential winner and things like that, and that there was a good chance that Aubrey was going to this was potentially going to be her season. You know, I heard other people say that like they heard multiple Final Threes, but that Aubrey was a part of all of them. So going into the season, I had very high hopes for Aubrey, and very much, you know, she was someone I was, you know, paying very close attention to, really trying to see, you know, does this feel like a winning game? And I will admit, for a while, I just didn't really see it with her. I saw her as somebody that was maybe going to go early on because of her being attached to Emily and Christian and Devon's. But I think that was what they did so well with the edit for her, because what they do is they kind of make you think like she's lumped in with this group. You don't expect her to eventually flip against them and start to kind of see the writing on the wall and recognize, like, I need to get in with Jonathan. I need to get in with Joe. I need to get in with people that people wouldn't suspect me to work with. And that's actually going to propel me forward. And I think in general, she did a phenomenal job at this FTC. There's no denying that, you know, I mean, she fucking steamrolls the two of them. I mean, Joe doesn't say anything, so she would have steamrolled him no matter what. All of Jonathan's bad answers, it just made hers feel so much more rewarding. I love especially what she says about how, you know, she studied different types of gameplay. She had that time to really like recognize why she lost the time that she did, and that she needed to kind of pivot, and, you know, how she played this very adaptable game. What?
Pivot.
Oh, okay.
I don't mean to interrupt, but there was something I wanted to piggyback on. I'm sorry. So
is it relevant to what we're discussing?
Well, it was relevant to Jonathan, and I forgot something, and I just remembered it, and I'm gonna forget again if I.
You have 2 minutes. I will time you.
Great. No. So Jeff spoils fire making, right? Honestly, I hate Jonathan so much that I hope I went into that when they actually did show the fire. I went in hoping he was wrong.
Yeah. I did too, because I just wanted him. I wanted Jonathan to lose.
That would make that even crazier.
Yeah. Yeah,
Jeff spoils fire and then is wrong.
I did see that being a potential really funny, but
that's how badly I did not want Jonathan in FTC. It was I wanted the outcome that was spoiled by the host and executive producer of the show to be wrong. But I yield the rest of my 2 minutes. I think that's everything I wanted to get out with that I forgot earlier.
All right, great. You got to a minute. So anyway, let me go ahead and talk about Aubrey again. Again, I think that, FTC wise, I've seen some people say they thought that this was a pretty weak FTC, and I would very much contest that. I think this is one of the more exciting FTCs we've seen in a while. It was a genuine battle between Jonathan and Aubrey. The way the jury also laid out certain questions, I thought was really great. I love the question, especially about telling the story and things like that. I think that's kind of what won Aubrey the game. I think just in general, she did such a good job of recognizing her spot, recognizing what she needed to do, and putting herself in a position where she was going to make the end pretty much no matter what. And yes, obviously there's a world where she doesn't get to Final Four if she doesn't win Samotion, but she wins the one comp that she needs to win, and that's ultimately what gets her there. So overall, I'm just very impressed by how she played the game. I don't have the connection to Aubrey that others do because I unfortunately was unable to watch her other seasons prior to this. I kind of gave up on the whole watching previous season things. I just didn't fucking have the time for it. But if I had, even not seeing those seasons, this just feels so satisfying to watch. You see her talk all season about Koran and how, people talked to her so much about how she should have won and how she was kind of ruminating on, what she did wrong in that season and that she really took the time to think about it. Even the fact that the one challenge that she practiced is the one that she ends up winning. It's all just so great to watch. I think it was just such a satisfying win all around. And again, while I was doubtful of her chances at first, I was happy to see that despite the fact I wasn't initially happy about that final three, I'm happy it did happen because it resulted in a very satisfying outcome, in my opinion. So what do you guys want to say about Aubrey?
I would agree. Honestly, early in the game, I also... she was one of the people I kind of had a big question mark about just because the last few times she had played, I felt like she had the journey that I thought, okay, what else can she show us? And she showed me a lot more than what I was expecting from her, and the growth, especially over the next two seasons, because she was very edited down, especially in Game Changers. We really did not see any of her game, even though she made it to the end.
Almost,
but almost. But it's the finale episode, right? I
completely forgot she was on Game Changers.
No, literally, that's how bad her edit was in that season.
That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate because I believe, Aubrey's the only 4-time player to make the finale every single time.
Right.
Oh, actually, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Not the finale, but the finale episode. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Except for Edge of Extinction.
She's in the finale for that.
Well, she's in the finale on the jury, but
she's not in.
Oh yeah, she got out. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was out freaking early in Edge of Extinction.
For the fact that I don't want to be wrong, we're gonna count that as she was on jury.
Okay, well, you are wrong, but yes.
Yes.
But yes.
With her, coming off her performance in Edge of Extinction, I was like, okay, what else can she show us? Because I feel like, the 2 games she had, she played very similar, and I was glad to see how she pivoted this season and how, early on, I was like, oh God, she's going to be an early out. I don't think she's going to do very well, which was kind of my summation early on when I had seen she was going to be on this cast. And Fortunately, I was wrong, and I was very happy to see her journey. And I think she did what she had to do to win this season, and it was great to watch. Once Suri left, once Suri and Tiffany left, she was absolutely who I was rooting for in the end game, hoping that she would come out victorious. I was pleasantly happy when especially when she went to
Henry
motion.
Danger.
What?
I knew you were
She didn't come out Henry Danger.
Don't even. Engage
I don't
in
even
the
know what that means, but okay.
Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah, I don't.
You said Victoria, so I made a terrible.
You said that. I'm like, Mike is gonna say some stupid shit.
I'm sorry.
Isn't Henry Danger Disney?
I don't fucking know. I know it's after my time. So
anyway, it had to suddenly disappear. I don't know what happened. He just kind of like left the StreamYard. I don't know what to say, but anyway, Jazzy, you can finish your thought.
Yeah. I think she played a fantastic game. Of the final three. Like there was no question of who played the best game. It was Aubrey. 1000%. I think she defended her game well. I think she did everything she could to really convince the jury of her win, and rightfully so. Like I said, I think one thing I loved about her, she took no prisoners, and even like when freaking Jonathan was trying to be like underplay her game, she was like, no, actually, like she came in with the receipts, and I loved every minute of it.
We had to babysit your ass. I think that was about Joe, but
that was about Joe. I'm talking about Jonathan, but
also Henry Danger is Nickelodeon. I looked it up.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I'm glad you.
But I really have to say I enjoyed the journey we went on with Aubrey, and I was very thrilled that a woman won, especially against the misogynistic jerk that is Jonathan. It was fun to watch him lose to a woman again,
especially in a season that was like for a while so like
male heavy, and I
so focused on
I was a little scared that we were gonna get a jerk of a winner, and I am 150% glad that we did not. So
you didn't want a coach win? Is that what you're saying?
No.
I'm gonna be so. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted the coach win in South Pacific.
I did not.
I'm a villain. If it's personal bias, the villains are all of my favorite. It's like my favorite type of all time, except for one person. What about Chris Underwood?
Please give your thoughts on Aubrey.
Okay, so Chris Underwood. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
Aubrey was on the season with him, so I mean,
I'm a fan of Kaorang. I really enjoyed like the end game of Kaorang. With the Superior Joe getting it done at 71,
Oh, that Joe! I was like, wait, which Joe is in that?
The one that got medevac.
This is my dumb
no, but with the exception of Ty being there, and I'm very.
No, it was not Joe Angelum. Don't worry. Joe was Aubrey's closest ally in Kaorang, so he was cool.
Joe's closest ally IRL being Erica Kirk for some reason.
Not that Joe. I'm talking about Gideon 71 Joe.
Yeah, anyways, Joe Del Campo, the Superior Joe. No, to get back on Aubrey.
Yes.
Big fan of Kaorang, the ending of it. I think I very frequently forget Ty was there because of how good the other two people at the end were.
Yeah.
And still are.
Love both of them.
Like, you have two people that I believe should be cemented in the Survivor Hall of Fame with Michelle and now that she's a winner, especially Aubrey.
Mm-hmm.
That between those two, I think, is for finalists, one of the biggest toss-ups out there for me personally.
Oh yeah.
Because both of them I thought were equally deserving.
No, it was highly back in the day. It was highly debated, and I think
It's still debated.
It's still debated. And I was firmly in Michelle's camp. I did think Aubrey played a fabulous game, but I just think as it came closer, Michelle just killed it and deserved her win. But they both did fabulous on that season.
I also think Tony's overrated, but carry on.
We were talking about Aubrey.
I know. I was just giving out hot takes.
The 26th player of Survivor 50 alongside
Chris Underwood and Tony Vlachos. Come on out.
They both were on Survivor 50, yes.
Can Tony get 19th again?
And that's what you get. The queen stays queen. Adios.
A shout out to Radical for all of their winners not being pre-jury in their game changers.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we do love that. But anyway, let's get back to Survivor.
Let's get back to Aubrey.
Yes. As we remind ourselves once again that I am a winner of Radical. So.
Yeah, and I won twice.
Anyways.
I still have more jury votes than you do.
Okay,
But do you know who has jury votes that actually matter?
Aubrey.
I believe she got 8 of them, which is just as many as I lost it. That was my first losing. Anyway, just kidding. We're not circling back to this again. Wait, did someone say circle? Okay, no, we're done. We're done for real this time.
Anyway, go ahead.
No, watching Aubrey finally get her win was really satisfying to watch as a longtime fan. And now we can once again say the first and last winner of Survivor are from New England. Represent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think overall it's just a very satisfying win. The fact she also got $2,000, first winner to do that.
Million.
$2 million.
She's not the first winner to get $2 million. She's not the first winner to get $2 million.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
in one season
was $2 million, and the fact she also got a car, even though the car looked kind of shitty. To see.
At least it wasn't a Cybertruck.
And oh god!
Oh
yeah,
my god! Could you imagine if you win Survivor and they give you a fucking
Cybertruck?
My god!
Maybe if Jonathan won, they would have done that. I'm sure that would have made his day. But they probably had custom cars for each winner.
Where's my Cybertruck, Mr. Jeff?
No,
Mr. Jeff, they're gonna give me my Cybertruck.
Yeah,
I'm turning into Forrest Gump with this impression.
Joe would just do like a basic Toyota or something, like the most simplistic car you could
shut up.
But yeah, no, I think just in general, it's a really exciting win to see. I think especially for this being, again, the first win that is with a live audience in a long time. I think the fact that it's somebody like an Aubrey, someone that so many people think should have won, and now she has, it's just the kind of satisfying it's just the kind of satisfying thing you hope to see in a returnee season like this. I think, especially when you have seasons and, you see a bunch of people here, it's a lot of the time it is some of the best to never win. And so I think the hope is always that you can get one of those best to never win to become a winner. And I think it's great that we finally saw that happen here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a shame they lowered the prize money all the way down to $2,000.
Anyway,
that's what Rick Devin said. He lowered.
Oh man, Rick, you should have gone for the coin. You ruined everything.
No, with all due technicality, I don't think Aubrey. I think technically Aubrey isn't even close to the first Survivor player to win $2 million. It's just she's the only one to do it just by winning alone.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, overall, like I said, I think Aubrey's a very satisfying winner. I think it's really great to see her come out of this. And I think is there anything else we want to talk about with Survivor 50 real quick before we give our overall thoughts on the season?
Honestly, I want to say I'm piggybacking off of the 2 million comment. I think the first one to do it would technically be Rob.
Okay, thank you for the stats. I really appreciate your
the fan favorite award for Redemption Island.
Oh yeah,
also
okay, that
1 million.
makes sense. Okay, yeah. No, I think it's technically no.
Oh wait, no, Sandra.
I was gonna say I think it was
Sandra.
technically Sandra.
Sandra won twice before Rob won once.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I think it's Sandra because
Listen, we forget a lot of things, but if you factor in Amber's million,
No.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, honestly.
What were we asking again?
Just any additional things you want to say before we talk about our overall thoughts on the season?
The only thing I do want to say in general with the whole fire making thing, I am very mad at America for voting that back in.
We didn't vote it back in.
I prefer a vote. I think it's way more interesting to see.
We didn't vote for that. We voted against it.
Yes. Very much.
There was something Jeff said we voted for, and I was like, what the fuck did we vote for that?
It was I think it was the what the hell was it? It was like the I think it was the type of twists that we ended up getting. He was like, everyone wanted dynamic twists, and it's like, well, we didn't know what that meant. Like, I think people just like saw the word.
Something that was straight up never a vote.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There was a vote for like what type of twist do you want? It was like dynamic twists, this kind of twist. Like there was a few different options.
Yeah,
so, like, we didn't know what it meant.
It left me like sitting there like Johnny Knoxville in whatever movie that was, where he's like, "When the fuck do we get ice cream?"
Probably a Jackass movie, but
it wasn't Jackass.
Oh, okay, I have no idea then. But
I'll
yeah,
have to find the clip afterwards.
Yes. Apparently, this is a Jackass spoiler video now.
The new and final movie coming soon.
It is coming soon. Yeah. Whenever I get around to watching the others, we'll
they just put up like I forgot what they said it was. The old unedited episodes of the original show on Paramount Plus.
That's wonderful, and you should watch. This
has been paid promotion by Paramount Plus. No, it hasn't.
Yes. All right, so back to this season though, real quick. I do want to talk about the in the hands of the fans things. I think honestly, it's just kind of bullshit. I think that the idea, like on its own, was a really good one, but I think the more the season went on, that's the other thing that really just kind of like frustrates me. I think that if they were going to do this, they need to be a lot more transparent as to like what this stuff was going to be, what it was going to entail. If you vote for this is what will happen. If we're going to be in control, we should have more information than just very limited knowledge of what's actually happening. And especially the fact that like they phrase certain questions in a way where like, we want you to pick this one, but then they phrase certain questions in a way where like, oh, you definitely don't want to pick that. That's boring. Like they made it pretty clear like how they felt about certain things is all I'll say. I'm glad that we did get the live finale. I'm glad that one at least went through, but most of the stuff they did in terms of like hands of the fans stuff, I just don't fully buy that we actually voted on. I feel like they had an idea of what they wanted to do. And if just a few people voted for that one, okay, cool, we can do it. That's how I feel like it kind of played out.
I can see that completely.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would have loved to have seen is similar to Cambodia, where they had a vote where like we could vote people in to play. Cool, I would have loved for that because if it's supposed to be in the hands of the fans, like we should have been able.
Jonathan.
Yes, exactly. That would have been wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have loved that, but we certainly would have loved that. Yeah, I think that would have been cool to see. I would have also there's a couple, if we had to pick different challenges and things like that, that could have been really cool too. There's different things I think they could have really done if they wanted to play into this idea of like.
Yeah, I too wish they did. Can you roly poly on Survivor?
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm asking for. But yeah, in general, I think that the in the hands of the fans thing really just kind of At the end of the day, it doesn't really feel like something they put a lot of thought into. It just kind of feels like something where it's like, well, we'll make the fans think that they're in control, but really they're kind of not. And yeah, I think it was just a little frustrating. But overall, as a season, I'll give my thoughts. Like I said, I'm of two minds about it. I think gameplay-wise, this season was very entertaining to watch. I don't think there was a moment I was necessarily bored when there was gameplay going on. When Zach Brown was on, I was pretty bored. But when there was gameplay going on, really invested.
Yeah, there was a second order on Survivor 50.
I was pretty invested in what was going on the whole way through. I thought that, the strategy was pretty top shelf. I thought that the different directions that the game went in, I thought were pretty unexpected. There were definitely moments that were a little bit predictable and things like that. But I think overall, as a season gameplay-wise, I think it's a lot of fun. I just think there was a little too many gimmicks and a little too much of a focus on stuff that we just didn't really care that much about. And I think if they were to lessen that and give us a little bit more of that gameplay, if the gameplay was the entire focus, if every episode was like, for example, the tether round, I think this would generally be a top tier season. Unfortunately, that just isn't the case because for every tether round, there's the fucking Jimmy Fallon twist or the, like I said, the Zach Brown reward that goes on forever. It's these things that I think they could have improved upon that could have made this generally a really great season. And I think at the end of the day, it's a good season. It's not a great season. It's a good season. It's hindered by a couple things. We have a great winner at the end of it, and I think that's really good. We did have, for the most part, a relatively really good cast. But the edit, I think, could have been better. I think the utilization of some of the
less men,
the mechanic of in the hands of the fans could have also been a lot better. And just in general, I think overall there are things they definitely could have done a lot better in terms of structure. So for me, that's the only thing that really does bring it down. I still enjoyed the season. I just didn't absolutely love it in the way that, and when it started, I think it started on a real high. I just think that especially once we got to the merge, it was very much like, I love this one, I didn't care for this one as much. I love this one, I didn't care for this one as much. Like it's very much that meme of like, we are so back, it's all over. We're so back, it's all, except it wasn't all over. It was more so just like, I'm not feeling this as much. So I think that's kind of like where I'm at with the season. Overall, good stuff, just not as incredible as I think it could have been if they had reworked some things.
I would definitely say very middle meh. It was fine tier for me. I am happy with the outcome we had, but some of the journey to get there was
rough. Yeah.
And I enjoy. Were there some episodes that were amazing and very interesting, and I was very into it? Yes, but there was also really low lows. So it's kind of a catch-22 of the season. If I had to be completely honest, like it's got great parts to it, but it also has things like the Zach Brown episode, and not just
40 minutes.
The Jimmy Fallon twist, the split tribals, which
not a fan.
Not a fan. Like there's certain things I wish it was different.
Yeah.
That I wish there were better outcomes. I wish it was truly in hands of the fans instead of it just being a tagline. So I would say it's very middle tier. There was a lot of good and a lot of bad. So I enjoyed it, but would it be top of my upper echelon of Survivor seasons? No.
Yeah, agreed. Mike, relevant thoughts towards this season.
Why are we talking about elephants?
Anyway, relevant.
No, I enjoyed 50 for the most part. I did a reaction to all the vote out, all the boots on Twitter. Most of them are very, very low effort because I was like, this is stupid and I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Surely one on my birthday was the best one.
Oh, they took out Jazzy's whole brand in one night. I forgot who even left.
Charlie.
This
That
Charlie.
was when Charlie left because Rizzo like did the whole speech about Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah, there was a double. There's someone
It was
else
a
that went
double.
there. I forget who else.
I think it was Camilla.
No, Camilla was in the Blood Moon.
Oh, okay.
Fuckers.
I
Fucking Jonathan.
forget. I'm sorry to whoever the other boot was. I kind of
I'm
forgot.
Googling it.
I forgot you existed. Another Taylor Swift reference.
Yeah, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie.
Listen, this is why I say Mike and I.
It was
are
Angelina.
Oh, it was Angelina. Oh my God, Angelina.
Oh
God.
yeah, because of that. I was going back and forth for a
Natalie?
decade with
Natalie?
Natalie. She
But,
voted for Angelina. Voted for Stephanie, and thank fucking God. Good week.
Yeah. And she did get some. She did give someone her jacket, so
She did.
full circle.
Also, looking at this voting chart to circle back to Aubrey really quick.
Yeah.
Just throwing her name out was a death sentence.
Yeah.
No,
It really
The amount of people who've tried voting or getting Aubrey out and then leaving themselves.
No, she weaponized it. I mean, she did a phenomenal job. Like I said, her journey to her win, I would say she played a fabulous game. I think she definitely is going to be in some of my top tier of winners based on how well she played. I know some people were not too happy, but I mean, honestly, I think she did fantastic.
You've got Stephanie, Ozzy,
Mm-hmm.
probably Devins,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
Devins played a shot in the dark. Sari,
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aubrey was gonna go if she wasn't immune.
Right.
Yeah, that's what's crazy to think about with Aubrey is that like if one thing goes like that's they go to trial at any point, she's fucked. Like generally, that's what would have happened.
No, she did. Like I said, she really, especially after the pre-merge, I think she put in the work that she needed to get her safety, which is awesome. Like this season is a roller coaster ride,
Definitely.
but the destination was good.
Yeah.
There was a lot of rough to get there.
For sure. I do want to bring up one thing real quick that I'm sure you guys might have remembered that we did, but maybe not. I was just looking back at it myself. But if you remember, we did a bit of a where is it? Why is it not
draft?
Yeah, we did a draft prior to this season. I do kind of want to look back on it because holy shit, I did terrible for a while.
That is not my picking order.
Well, that's what came up on here. But
Well,
yeah.
that's not correct.
Well, I don't know why it's like that. But yeah, as you can see, Mike does win the draft with Aubrey here to everybody's surprise. Oh my God, he already knew.
Aubrey. I pick Aubrey.
Yeah. Let's see. You also had Jonathan. So you were
forgot about the two Savannahs.
Yeah, there were two Savannahs, but there were more than there was a Savannah in the game. But yeah, let's see. I had Sari and Tiffany for forever, and I only had them and Joe to rely on for like the longest time. So my picks were kind of terrible. Let's see, Jazzy, you had a pretty good roster of people, I'd say. You definitely had some potential picks in there.
The photo
but
of Tiff is so small, it looks like she's wearing Mickey Mouse ears in her photo.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I think we talked about before how fucking terrible these photos are. But I do want to reiterate how terrible these photos were.
Oh, the photos are the worst.
But yeah.
Wait a second. Did I have everyone who left in the Blood Moon?
You do actually, because Camilla, Colby, and there's Genevieve. So
And are they all right next to each other on the top of that?
you and Jonathan at the very because this was when we thought Genevieve was going to be like a really early boot, so I think none of us wanted to pick her.
I still wanted her.
Yeah, Jonathan's at the very end here. So no matter what happens, you would have won regardless.
I had 3 in the final 4, and then the entire Blood Moon.
Yeah, and then I had most of the pre-jury, or I'm sorry, non-jury, because apparently that's what we're calling them now. And then Suri, Tiffany, and Joe. But yeah, quite the draft. Mike won it, but Mike also won it the second that he picked it. So yeah, but yeah. Other than that,
Wait, who had Joe?
I had Joe.
Kevin.
I did. I picked him last because
I
didn't.
the Jonas Brothers sticking together.
Yeah,
They should have brought Nick back.
Yeah, they really should. Oh God, no. Anyway, yeah, but overall, that does bring us to the end of Survivor 50. I do want to go ahead and just thank everyone that was a part of this. I thought that considering that this
there was a preview of something that happened at the end there.
No, definitely not. Nothing happened.
No. Something about 51.
Oh yeah, I guess we'll talk about it briefly. Survivor 51, it's coming up very soon. I wasn't done wrapping up my thoughts yet, but because Mike brought it up, 51 is coming up. It's going to be the open era. Every twist they've ever done apparently will be implemented. We don't know what exactly that means, but they're doing something different, which I appreciate. But I think that there's something more to.
But we have a winner.
Yes, we do. We do. So we may or may not know somebody who is playing in 51.
He may or may not. He meant to be there.
Yes,
over here. Behind me on the green screen.
You know what? I was running the pizzeria.
Mike is ruining said subtlety as usual, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But yeah, very excited to see this person play on 51. We will obviously be doing a cast assessment when that time comes around, and I'm excited to see how that goes. But yeah, I do want to briefly just kind of talk about how much I enjoyed again to do this. I knew it was returning season, and I knew that I didn't think I could talk about on my own. I knew that, having any guests on, they would have a little bit more insight and context into things than I would. So it was a lot of fun getting to have so many different personalities on here, so many different viewpoints as well. It's really cool to see different ways people look at Survivor and the different things that people look for. And I think that's one of the big things I realized when doing this podcast is just how many different how the different sort of histories people have with Survivor and the players that are most important to them and things like that. It was just really exciting to get to do. I wish I could have stuck with watching previous seasons, but hosting an org kind of is a full-time job, so I wasn't really able to do much with that. But like I said, glad that I was able to finish it out here. So I do want to go ahead and just thank everyone that was a part of this. Before we do close things out here, I do want to give Jazzy and I guess Pierre a chance to plug their stuff. So Jazzy, go ahead.
Hi guys. You can find me on Twitter at QuinnFisley. I post a lot of was posting a lot of Survivor content. Now doing a listen through with some of my friends where I like to listen to random albums and rank them out of 10. So if you're interested in that kind of content, hope you enjoy. Probably will be posting a lot about Glee. Obviously, username is a Quinn Fabray reference.
Oh, really? I didn't know you were a fan of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, big surprise. Yeah, if you want to talk Glee, I'm your girl. Also, I am on TikTok, and it is Jazzy Heart, and I've just been doing a lot of Glee content there. And if y'all want to follow that, that'd be awesome because I'm hoping to do more content on there as well. So, yay.
We want a DIY recipe on how to make a grilled cheeses.
Listen, I can't do grilled cheeses, but...
honestly, with the green screen I look like I'm about to be Pierre's first victim.
Damn. I guess it's your. This is what you get for all the tangents.
This is what they get. They throw the knife.
Multiple crap.
Throw knife, but not at me. Anyway, I think my Twitter is WonderpuffMV still.
Yes, that is what I
So
put
I
down.
hope the plug is correct. If not, good luck.
Oh, I should have done this. If we were on the podcast last week, I would have done this, but unfortunately, that's not.
Womp womp.
That's fine. She still got it.
Yeah.
I do stuff on other social medias. I can't think of my usernames because they're all different. But follow if you want. If you don't want, I understand. And if you know who I am, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I said, thank you to you both. Thank you also to Benji for being here for the time that he was, and also all my guests that were here. Alex, Jay, Grace, Seb, Mike Jones, just all wonderful additions throughout this time. Had a great time, like I said, talking about this season. I think it was definitely quite the roller coaster, but I think we ended on a pretty satisfying note for the most part. So I'm happy with how everything did wrap up. But other than that, that's really it for this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, I have a ton of other Survivor content, as well as other, reviews of movies and TV and stuff like that. So if you're interested in any of that, definitely consider checking out my channel, as well as subscribing. Let me be part of all of that. But other than that, guys, for this video, hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you guys later. And hopefully, by the time we're back, Mike is still alive and not killed by Pierre on the screen. But okay, bye.
You know, they could get a bunch of influences from a certain social media site on a season of Survivor, and they could just call it YouTube Survivor.
Damn, it's almost like that already happened or something. That's crazy. Anyways, goodbye.
Not in real life.